Everyone, so glad you're here. Wind and rain, nothing could keep you away. That's really great, really great. We have the 360 band here, and they're going to open us up with Joy and Happiness. 120? 230? Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
Oh, let me return to the source of my life. Bring back the meaning within. I know I'm not different from everyone else. Come, let our song now begin. For you are an angel of everyday life, walking alongside my way. And I have been blessed by your radiant sight, blessed to have come to this day. There's a song in the wind, like a heavenly tide, lifting our hearts to the sun. Now we can know what was always inside, calling us home, everyone. Deep is the ocean that moves through us all. Strong is the current and wide. I can be happy the rest of my life, choosing to have peace inside. Oh, deep is the ocean that moves through us all. Strong is the current and wide. We can be happy the rest of our lives, choosing to have peace inside. Choosing to have peace inside.
That was beautiful, thank you. All right, glad to see everyone here today. I'm Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell, serving as a practitioner this morning and MC, along with Christy Carr and Shirley Wade. We'll be here by the bell after service if you'd like a affirmative prayer for the new year. It's going to be a fun year. And our musicians are here to play a song. You already did that.
You're on.
I'm sorry.
Are you singing the kids out?
Okay, I've got too many scribbles on here. That's all right, too many scribbles. Okay, we're going to invite the children up, and as they come up, turn to the camera, and we'll wave to everyone out there in the world who's watching.
You are a face
Right now, I'd like to invite Stephen Smith, better known as Shems, to come up. He has a reading that he'd like to do. For those of you who don't know, we are looking for a new minister. Sue and I handled it for a few years after our last ministers retired, and then I had to retire, and she's been carrying this load and doing an extremely beautiful job with it. But she'd like a break. So join with Shems in this beautiful prayer. I mean, that person is on their way.
Good morning. I am wireless because I want this sacred space here to come into focus for everybody. And imagine if we can, and I'm here officially as part of the search committee for the new minister. So I want you, each of you, to imagine this space here like a hologram that is materializing. There is somebody we know. He, she, it, them, I'm not sure who, what. But they're aware of us. And we're aware of them. And they're thinking, ready? Ready?
Yes, yes,
Why in God's name would I want to move to Reading? And that's the key. In God's name. It's like, why do we search for the name of the nameless? It's an irrational thing. Many of us came here just by following feeling. So my message is, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just show up. Okay, so we can ask Ernest to beam it up. Here's our new prayer, which we could all join in if we all had copies, but we don't. So, put it down there. There is one source, one light, and one love. This source expresses itself through each and every one of us in this spiritually inclusive community. It attracts and welcomes the perfect minister into our loving presence. Into this community for which we are deeply grateful, that serves as a grounding presence of divine friendship for the greater community of Reading and all the beautiful natural surroundings. We accept and know that as a community, we are a beacon of light emanating with the power of divine love. And together, we unite our hearts and our minds with joy and clear intention as we send out the vibration of a sacred invitation to our new spiritual leader. We fully embrace the reality of this new minister and share our path of walking and living in the light of love and truth. We know right here and right now that the right and perfect minister is awake, ready and receptive to this invitation from our loving community, to inspire and lead us in the next phase of our spiritual journey. Together, we support this sacred union, solemnly and gratefully. We welcome our new spiritual leader to embrace this gift that we offer. We now move forward as one to be the change we know is possible in the world. And so it is.
I don't know. I think you'd be a great practitioner, Stephen. So clear, so beautiful. Or maybe a great minister. All right. We've waved. We've now time to thank everyone who's been in service. Lindy's here with little Corey this morning, and Joey Carroll on the sound team, and Marty and Janet are at the usher greeter position this morning. Thank you. And the McQuistons will be in the social hall with the kitchen cookies, and of course the 360 band. Glad to have you all here. Jane is our board member. Good morning, Jane. Good to see you. All right. If you have a cell phone, if you would put it on silence, we'd sure appreciate that. Thank you. And if you're new with us today, we have a wonderful friendship packet our ushers would love to bring to you. Anybody new this morning? No? Okay. Well, they're on the back wall. They're the blue packets if you are interested. We have some announcements, in fact, quite a few announcements, but that's okay. That means things are happening. We have a spiritual music jam coming up Friday, January 13th, 7 to 8:30, and Steve and Michael Harris and Margot, do you say that Fran Coy? How do you say her last name? Yes. Okay, good, thank you. Bring your instrument or clap. That's always a good drum beat, and it's a really great time. A lot of people come, and it's just one of those uplifting experiences. Landscape Save-A-Day is Saturday, January 14th, 9 to noon. And with all the wind, there'll be a lot of fun things to rake up and move and put back where it belongs. So that'll be fun. Saturday, January 14th, 9 to noon. The SOAR group, which is our adventure group, will be meeting Sunday, January 15th at 11:30 after the service to plan the new year. So you'll want to be part of that. That'll be fun. The bookstore will be closed and the office Monday, January 16th for Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday. The Shasta Interfaith Group, as well as the Mormon Church, have decided to do a street cleanup project at Providence Gardens of Hope. Monday, January 16th, 11:30 to about 1:30 p.m. That's the Gardens of Hope on Railroad Avenue near the Martin Luther King Center. It could use some TLC, so if you're interested in helping with that, that would be a real nice way to meet other people in not only the Shasta Interfaith, but other churches that participate. Christy Carr, our new practitioners class, has been postponed a week, and it starts this week, Thursday the 12th, and it's Principles and Practices. It's 2 hours, and it's 5 weeks, and it's from 5:30 to 7:30 on Thursday. It'll be in the social hall. And there is a sign-up sheet now in the hall, in the foyer. So that'll be a good class. I'll do the Science of Mind, the essence of Science of Mind after this service in the meeting room in the office. Just get something in the social hall and come on in. I'll be reviewing the essence of this teaching and some questions of who's Earnest Holmes and why did he write this book and why do we read it and read it and read it and read it. And so it's a lot of fun discussion. And so I'd love it if you're interested and want to know a little bit more to join me at about 11:15. Robin Backstrom, she's our great book club leader, great facilitator. And they're starting Monday, January 9th, 2 to 4 p.m. with the Book of Joy. That's a great way to start out the new year. It includes Desmond Tutu and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and they'll be going over the 8 pillars of joy. So if you need a little lift me up, that would be a good one to take. Our board of this center has 2 openings, and if you'd like to know more, check with Jane, but she's ready to talk about it. There are 2 3-year terms and requires that you're a member of the center and have completed at least 1 year of Science of Mind classes. Those are the certificated classes. Sacred Sisters meets tomorrow night, January 9th, 7 to 8:30, and it's going to be about naming your intuitive gifts. Living out loud is the theme for all of Science of Mind, all of Science of Mind centers this year, and so naming our intuitive gifts sounds like a really great way to start living out loud. When we can name it, we can feel it, we can emotion it, we can have it. The men's group is also tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m., and it's with Roy Wolfstead, who's the facilitator, and it will be a wonderful way to start out the new year with making new friendships with the men of the community. On Wednesday, January 11th, Reverend Sue is going to be offering a class, Unconditional Joy. I don't know, joy, and the joy here, there's joy coming out everywhere, isn't there? It's a 6-week class, Wednesday, January 11th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. And she says, imagine striving to do things differently this year. Of course, with joy, of course. So she's going to dive deeply into the potentiality and all possibilities. So that'll be a great visioning class for all of you. All right, I think I've covered it pretty well.
Are you going to talk about your Shoes for Souls?
Oh, you bet. Shoes for Souls. Last Sunday I talked about that. Every year, Shasta County has to count the number of homeless in the county and report it to the federal government. It depends on how many homeless we have and the funds that we get to help them. And so usually they do it in May, but for some reason they're doing it in January. And so next Saturday, I'm inviting as much help as I can get in the social hall Saturday morning at 10, because I've got a couple hundred pair of shoes that need to be rubber band together with the size on a tag so that they're very easy to hand out. And it'll be Wednesday, the 25th. Usually they have a luncheon at the Vets Hall. This time they're doing a breakfast at 7:30 in the morning. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'll be there at 7 with probably Doug, and he'll help, and we'll unload these shoes and put them on tables on the stage in the Vets Hall, and it probably won't go past 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I wouldn't think. So that'll be on Wednesday. So that'll be fun, because it's so uplifting to see people with holes in their shoes or no shoes or house slippers in the rain and get a pair of shoes. There's something about that is, for them, it's magical, and so for us it is to see the smiles on their face. All right, we are ready to go. So we have a reading. Lori's going to do that for us, and then Christy is going to ring the bell 3 times and do the spiritual mind treatment. Then Reverend Sue will talk about the universal voice. So Lori?
We seek God so earnestly, not to find him, but to discover ourselves. James Michener, The Source. After years of searching, the seeker was told to go to a cave in which he would find a well. Ask the well what is truth, and the well will reveal it to you. Having found the well, the seeker asks that fundamental question, What is truth? From the depths, go to the village crossroad. There you shall find what you are seeking. Full of hope, the man ran to the crossroad to find only 3 rather uninteresting shops. One shop was selling pieces of metal, another sold wood, and the third sold thin pieces of metal. Nothing and no one there seemed to have much to do with the revelation of truth. Disappointed, the seeker returned to the well and demanded an explanation. But he was told that you will understand in due time. The man protested, but all he got in return were echoes of his own shouts. He felt he had been made a fool of. Indignant, he once again started his journey, seeking truth. Years passed. The man grew older, moved more slowly. He began taking more time in seeing things more completely. One night, as he was walking, the sound of sitar music caught his attention. It was beautiful, played with great mastery and inspiration. Profoundly moved, the truth seeker felt drawn to the sitar player. He looked at the musician's fingers moving over the strings. He began to really see the sitar itself. And then he knew the sitar was made out of wires, pieces of metal, and wood, just like those he had seen in the 3 stores at the crossroad. And at last he understood the message of the well. We have already been given everything we need. Our task is to assemble and use it. Nothing is as meaningful as long as we perceive only separate fragments. But as soon as we see the fragments as a whole, a new entity emerges.
Let's just take a big deep breath in. And as we do, we relax. Take another deep breath in. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. It's gone. So let's come together today and join with me in knowing that there is one love, one light, one amazing power that is present, and that we are one with that present. We are one. We are having spirit flow through us, around us, everywhere present. And so I know that as Reverend Sue speaks today, that we hear what she has to say deeper and more open. We relax and know that what we hear today is said out of love. And as we go deeper and become one with Spirit, and we hear our little voice calling us and telling us what we need to hear, we hear a voice guiding us and telling us who we are. And we let all that negative thoughts and illusions that are holding us back become special. We no longer have those because our voice is guiding us to tell us who we are. And that who we are is that love and that power. So I'm grateful. I am grateful for you today. And I am grateful for all of you listening to the world, in the world. And I am grateful for Sue's intelligence and Sue's way of guiding us to this love. Thank you, Spirit. I release this into the world, into the law, knowing it is done right now. And so it is.
Where do I stand, Steve? Can you hear me from here? I'm going in. That was great. Everything's been great so far. 360, I love the song you sang. So tender, so appropriate for our message today. And let me introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. I am Reverend Sue and happy to be in service to you. I also want to point out that oftentimes I am thinking of a lot of you, and I'm always so touched when I do that deep thinking and then I see you here. I'm just so happy that you continue to return again and again, taking time in between, but always returning to your spiritual home. And I see you, and I notice that, and I appreciate that. There is a beautiful, one of my favorite poets, John O'Donohue, from his book Beauty, writes these words: "Beholding beauty dignifies your life. It heals you and calls you out beyond the smallness of your limitations to experience new horizons. To experience beauty is to have your life enlarged." That is such a divine calling for all of us to live out loud, to live bigger in ways that we feel really set free into the nature of spirit. So there's two sources of reading that I wanted to share with you. I've shared many times from the Spirituality and Health book, and my favorite contributor is Rabbi Rami, and he always does a Q&A, but this particular one is so appropriate for today. This is the question that was posed to him. "My first grader came home from school the other day with 3 questions I couldn't answer. What is God? Where is God? Why is there so many gods?" And so the parents said, "What would you say?" The rabbi's response: "Oh, I love first grade theologians. They're too wise for grown-up theology. Here's what I would say. What is God? Imagine an infinite ocean, waving countless waves. Each wave is precious and unique, and yet all waves are nothing but the ocean waving. God is like this infinite ocean, and you and everything else is the waving of God. Where can I find God? You don't find God." I like this. "You meet God. You don't find God, you meet God. You meet God when you meet people, animals, bugs, trees, rivers, and even poop." And then he writes in parentheses, "My first grader grandson and his friends are really into poop." And when you meet God, you are called upon to act godly, to treat everything with kindness and respect. And finally, why are there so many gods? He said, let's change metaphors. Think of God as a ray of sunlight. When a ray of sunlight passes through a prism, it reveals different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. One ray, but many colors. The same with God. One God, many forms. Hindu, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, on and on. The difference is that while some people prefer the color blue to the color green, no one ever imagines the color blue is better than green. When it comes to God, some people who like one form better than another do imagine that their form's better. They even will fight to prove it, that their form is better. Fighting over which God is better is like fighting over which color is better. It's silly. I'm proud that you know better. Sweet. That sweet innocence of a child's question. You know, and that moment where your godchild comes up and sits on my lap just makes me melt, because I held that little baby as in a christening ceremony that we did at her young age of 2 or 3 months. I think she was just a little precious baby. So when she comes up to me, I go, "You remember me." That's what I feel, that sweetness. So the other story comes from Divining Your Body. And why this relates, you will see, because what I'm going to be poking at a little bit, and what we talked a lot about yesterday was in our Renewing New Year's workshop, was looking at what beliefs are really no longer serving us, right? We carry a lot of those around, and are we really challenging those beliefs, or have they become just deep ruts that we keep just driving ourselves through? And so the author of this book is describing her own spiritual misperception when she had a lot of anxiety and was starting to rip through some of those systems that were operating through her. So she describes when she was a young postulant in a religious community, taking her very first theology class, a Jesuit priest stood in front of the room and asked each what they believed about God. One by one, we recited our beliefs, recalling sentences from the Baltimore Catechism about who God was, why he made us, and what he wanted from us. Some of you might remember that in your own experience. The priest challenged those beliefs one by one, tore them apart, belittled them as nothing more than memorized statements. Ouch. Reflection of someone else's authority. "What do you believe?" he shouted. "I don't want to hear what you've memorized. I want to hear what you feel. Who is this God of yours?" His words were a hammer, shattering my naive image of what God was, and I started to cry, wondering why and how he could do this. How could he stand there and destroy God when we'd just given up our whole lives to the one? And we've left behind everything just to be with God. It was a moment of devastating loss, incomprehensible sadness. I felt as if everything I believed in, everything of which I based my life, was no longer true. The silence in the room was deafening. The void I felt terrifying. We sat there, 30 of us, what seemed like an eternity, reckoning with the obliteration of God as we had known him. Finally, the priest broke his silence. "You must come to know what is true about God from your own experience," he said. "Arrive at a faith that is deeper than your learning, one that is rooted in your ultimate concern and rises up from the nature of who you are." He said that we needed to let go of beliefs and conjure up faith of commitment, one that rises up from within ourselves, from a deep awareness of our own godliness. For the first time, I understood the biblical paradox about losing our lives in order to find it. Powerful, isn't it? But you know what? That's what we do here. We invite that process. And it's uncomfortable at times for many of us to go through and revisit who we are and what we think this divine idea really is. And Ernest Holmes did a lot of writings in his lifetime, and the first 4 chapters of The Science of Mind, he really tries to take these ideas apart that have been framed with certain words, and he starts to make them very neutral. The words he uses, it is the thing itself. And you start to realize, it doesn't have to be the word God. He starts to describe the essence and the spirit and the nature of all things. He says this: God is always God, no matter what our emotional storm is, or what our objective situation out there may be. There's always something hidden in our inner being that has never, ever been violated. I would invite you to take that in. There is that perfection, that seed of absolute within you that has never been violated. We may stumble, but there is always that eternal voice, forever whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings and sings. And it is that which I know invites you back again and again, because you're never alone on the spiritual journey. So when I'm reminded that God is in me as me, that God is, and I am, we start to pare that down, and I am strengthened in knowing that there is as much God or good that I am able to recognize, that I can feel, that I can bring into my awareness. That is the divinity that fills my soul. And I'm strengthened by that good, by recognizing it is up to me to open the portals of my being. So then I recognize I'm never abandoned, I'm never alone, nor are you. Never alone. We become individual centers of this God expressing through us. Now that particular idea right there is enough to just sit in meditation and dwell upon for a lifetime. That we are looking at the soul nature of our being and this intimate, divine, sweet, beloved nature of the divine, always present, always willing to awaken us to a higher knowing. To the beloved looking through each of us, expressing through me, through us, always, always. That's the universal mind. That's the universal mind of spirit. This loving presence, this energy, this one life, this everything that we speak of. And from the text, Ernest Holmes quotes Acts 17:28. In him we live and move and have our being. You've heard that, right? We live, move, and have our being. It is the unnameable. It is the source of pure love, unconditional love. And again, the thing itself that we spiritually focus on. This is what it means for universal life to be flowing through all of us. He spoke very clearly that he said, as I am, so we all are. So that's where this idea of unity and oneness comes. As I know this truth for myself, I know it absolutely for you. There's a God in me and there's a God in you. And sometimes we come up against people that we just don't like. But there's a God in them. There's a purity. There's a vessel of divine truth, of divine longing. We're not in their head or in their soul to know that. None of our business. But it's there. It's unqualified, it's unconditional, and it's there. And so we start to realize, quit complaining about everybody. Clean up your own act. And you realize that that's when it said, there are a mirror for you to see the divine qualities in you that need to be attended to. So, very clearly there. And so our New Year's workshop yesterday, we renewed our intentions to remind us of the principles of these truths. So, just like in me, the God nature dwells in you. Think about that the next time you just so much want to pull up that hand and pick up a finger at a car that just scares you on the highway. You know, just kind of look at your own hand and just... The God nature is dwelling in them, in all beings. No one's left out. So in our spiritual awareness and in our consciousness, we can get that when we're in the spiritual place. When we come to a center or to a church, we get that when we're in a class. Oh yeah, I'm with my fellow beings, spiritual beings. But it is our human consciousness, it is our ego consciousness that we tend to start to pay a little bit too much attention to our neediness. So that's what CSL, Center for Spiritual Living, is reminding us. Our goal is to realize not only our own individual power, but to see the work in concert with the same power that exists in and through all souls that we meet. So Emerson, standing on bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all egotism vanishes. Imagine that. There you are, just up in the morning for the first breath, and there you stand on bare ground, bathed by the presence of air and vitality, uplifted into the space all around you. And let all of your egotism vanish. He goes on, I become transparent and I see all the currents of universal being circulating through me. I am part and parcel of God. I am part and parcel of God. Emerson. What a way to start your day. So we're reminded as we renew our intentions, every one of us, for 2023, to live out loud. There's also those necessary moments to be still and to know, to seek a different vibration of living this year in which we raise our consciousness to meet the divine. I really appreciate how Lori Barnes read the story, because it invites us to really take that pause, to see that all that we have been shown along the way will make sense if we allow enough stillness, enough time to pass, to allow the stories and the truth to be revealed. Because things just happen as we live out life. Sometimes we're off key. We're off key in our relationship to that one eternal, universal voice. But we have to pause, we have to remember and strive. I will do better. We don't whip ourselves crazy about what we didn't do right and keep rehearsing it. We just say, whoa, I screwed up there. But I get to have a do-over. I get to try again. I get to go back and make amends. I get to go back and truly say, I'm sorry. I was not skillful. Out of nowhere the other day, I just blew up at a letter that arrived in the mail. Hadn't even opened it. Wasn't even to me. It was to Charlie. Well, how dare they? And I just went on and on. And I was so wrong. I just, for a moment there, I was all puffed up and entitled. And then I shrank to a flea size, and I wanted to just pretend I didn't do that. And so I had to, and then when I tried to apologize for my behavior to Charlie, he goes, well, yeah, you know, and I thought, not quite ready for that part. No, I know what I did wrong here, but I don't need you to influence it. But then when I really needed to hear all of that, and that's, we just have to be vulnerable and open to it. Sometimes we're not very skillful. Sometimes we're wrong. So strive to do better. Get back on track. Choose your way, because everything is cause and effect. Do we want to have this ego-driven life or a spirit-driven life? It comes down to that, because there's an energy of being spirit-filled that is much, much more valuable. If we stay in that lower frequency of life, that's the kind of things we're going to attract to us time and again. I guarantee it. We'll keep bumping into the walls of our own suffering when things don't work out the way we want. And we'll have a more and more of a challenge of letting it go. We'll keep arguing about just what is. That is present moment living. It is what it is. Open to it. Open to it and free the space of the heart. Go back into what Emerson says. Bathe yourself in that uplifted, infinite spaciousness of the divine. There's no need to blame anyone else for what is. The Ilyana Vasant, I'm not pronouncing her name correctly, but right here she says, "Be still and know there is a universal power seeking an outlet through you. The instrument of this power is your mind. When you still the mind to all of the outside influences and that internal chatter, the power becomes activated." Whew. Thank you, God. To know that if I just sit quietly, this that is tethered in and causing me to constrict in the soul of my being is released and uplifted. So I asked everybody yesterday in our workshop to think about their choices, to really soul search right now how they think and what they believe and how they feel. Do you want to be in a state of peace, love, and compassion? Or, here's a fun choice, fear, resentment, and guilt? How long do we have to decide? And then we move on, because it always is a matter of choice to be less negative, to raise your vibration, to accomplish what you truly desire to be in touch with at the soul level, to be in touch with your thoughts and your feelings. Because patterns naturally will arise out of your core beliefs. And is it time for you, in this beginning of a new year, if you want to live boldly, is it time for you, like the woman, Jan Phillips, in Divining the Body, to go back and discover what do I believe? Was it spoon-fed me? Or I stand on this truth. It's yours to answer. Because some beliefs, unfortunately, have limitations. They have set us up. And maybe we want to demonstrate more in life, but we're so trapped in our beliefs. Here it is. It is done unto you as you. Yeah, can I hear that again so you can all be a part of that? It's done unto you as you. There you go. I know that feels corny, but if you don't put the power and the emotion behind the word, and you just go, "Oh, it's done unto us as we believe." It is done unto you as you believe. And so you realize, as you reflect on that, I don't want to run on autopilot. I want to live. I want to live out loud. I want to celebrate everything. So we start to engage with life, and we question some of our basic beliefs. Is it true? That's my favorite one. Is this true? Is it absolutely true? Byron Katie. Present moment living. Eckhart Tolle, they all point to that. Is this true? Is it absolutely true? Because you might be falling off the wagon by an unopened letter. It might happen to you. And then you realize, is it true? Is it really true? I never even opened the envelope. But I let my whole piece be right out the window. So you meet the spiritual challenges along the way without playing any of the games about being passive-aggressive. Not casting things away by saying, well, whatever. Not helpful. No, whatever's going on here, I need to know. I need to be more sensitive and allow it to be more personal to me as I want to refresh and to remember that it is human to make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay to be imperfect. I love that. I want the bumper sticker. I just want my bumper sticker to say, I'm imperfect. But I know it. And God dwells within me as me and loves me anyway. Yeah, it's helpful. We're not always understood. We're not always liked. That's just how it happens, because you are the same way. Some things, like I said, you don't like either. But God dwells within them too. Everyone here is regular folks. So how much can we believe then in the nature of things as we step past human tendencies? How much can we believe? As much as we can believe will be done unto us. Now get this. I wrote that in bold here. When you're looking at the textbook, Ernest Holmes writes that in caps, all caps. Now you know how all caps can be like, oh, that email, they all capped me. The text, they all capped me. Because it needs your attention. He's not scorning us, but he's reminding us as much. How much can we believe? How much is my faith? As much as we can believe will be done unto us. Let it trigger you a little bit. That's the universal voice of Spirit speaking. When your consciousness speaks, that law, the law that they talk about, this is the law, it's done unto us as we believe. It's very impersonal. It receives our input, and what we invest our heart energy into, it will execute. So my time is close to being done, and I wanted to share what else Earnest Holmes says here. Suppose one is laboring under the idea of limitation. His whole thought is a picture of limitation. Where is he placing himself in mind? Is he not in substance saying, I cannot have and enjoy good things? And he is demonstrating that he cannot have or accomplish good. And it may take time. Yes, it may take time to reshape the basis of his thought. And he must commence by saying, I perceive that because I am what I am, because of this infinite thing that overshadows eternity and finds its abiding place in me, I know that good is now mine, all good. There's no mental coercion of this, he reminds us. We're not willing things to happen, but things are brought into a perspective not by will, but the power of self-assertion with this truth. So how much then can one demonstrate? How much can one believe? I ask you that question because it's personal. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in consciousness that's no longer repudiated by our own denial? More caps here, he says. The answer is, whatever that is, that much we can have. Are you ready? Do you want it? You want it? Because faith is what's unfolding here. As we align with the divine givingness of Spirit, that is love. That is what we receive, and there's no limit to it. So I'm going to invite Judy forward. I'm going to take you slowly into your own connection to the eternal voice, to that place of wisdom within you. I'm going to share some of the divine wisdoms of Earnest Holmes in that meditative practice. But allow right now, as you settle into the message and you take it home with you, and you work with it this week in your meditations, Earnest Holmes reminds us there's a great love of the universe. And that love must be one with the great law of its own being. So we approach that love in a deeper knowing, the teaching, love, and law. As the love of God is perfect, so the law of God also is perfect. We must understand both. Restore our faith here today in the wisdom of all the great teachings, sharing our good and understanding with deeper compassion. The world at large, the universal voice is calling us, residing in us, and today we choose by divine right order that we are here today to answer that call, to open to that call, to be directed forevermore by that one source, to be led, to be guided, to be restored by the one love. And as we interpret that in our own way, as we allow our hearts to be in service to the world this year, we establish a relationship with others that helps co-create an ideal world, a world that indeed works for all. We acknowledge this inner divinity. As I close this time with you this morning, I just invite it back into your own heart to allow what is ever inscripted in your own heart. Look deeply into the walls of your experience, walls of memories. The body is infused with resources of memory. And so we sit with all of that and we bathe in the juices of love that can reshape and reform as we begin to allow ourselves to open, not to shut down, but to open with a more powerful and intentional love that is more forgiving, more compassionate, more embracing. So thank you, God. Thank this divine energy as it fills and inspires each one of us in our own unique way. Feel it in the very cells of your being. It is moving and having its way through you now. This resource, this source, it is healing, transforming, changing, shifting. It is you coming alive. It is you. It is me. It is God. And together we say, thank you, and so it is. Thank you. 360. Thank you.
On
Oh, it's hard to not get up and dance, isn't it? Oh, my goodness sakes. All right. If the ushers would come forward, please. And know with me, as we prepare to give our offering, our hearts are filled with love and appreciation, since what is offered here is for our spiritual well-being. We're filled with gratitude, knowing life stays in balance as I give and we give, we receive.
I love little baby ducks, old pickup trucks, slow-moving trains, yes, trains, and rain. Really? Well, I love leaves in the wind, pictures of my friends, birds of the world, and squirrels. Oh, and I love you too. Yes, I love you too.
I love ice cream all the time, songs that never rhyme, warm sunny days, and pizza.
Oh, I love little puppy smells, beaches full of shells, playing silly games, and dirt. Oh, and I love you too. Yes, I love you too. Oh, I love you too.
They did? Oh.
It's your turn.
The ushers already did what they did. All right. We are grateful. We are thankful. And so that is. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I have to tell you a cute little thing. We have 2 cats, they're sisters, and one is Mamma Mia. She's running everywhere every morning. She's just like, oh my God. And so I bought her a treadmill, a cat treadmill. And it took Paul's daughter and her boyfriend 3 hours to put it together. It's huge. And she's scared to death of it. So I'm trying to figure out how to make her come up and love it. Anyway, but it's, you know, you gotta love it too. Yeah, I was thinking of that. I love you too, Mimi. You know, come on, it's okay. Step on this monster treadmill. Anyway, we're having a lot of fun with it. So thank you, ushers. Thank you very much. And so we have our practitioners, Christy and Shirley, and I'll be there too. At 11:15, come in the meeting room and we'll talk about the essence of this wonderful philosophy. And right now, we'll have a closing song.
Okay,
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Really good.
we can do that. All right, Mike. 2, 3, 4. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all sunshiny day. Think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain has gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone the dark clouds that had me blind. Yeah, it's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh, sunshiny day. Yeah, sunshiny day. Oh,
Whoa! That was fabulous. Look, we all got up. That's so exciting. It's a good step. So I wanted to share this this is from Earnest Holmes, and it's about the call. And I want you to take this with you. Very similar to Emerson. This I saw, or some inner presence made it known to me. The universe is filled with life. The air, the sky, the sea teem with intelligence, majesty, and might. And deep within me, some subtle inner sight beholds and sees, comprehends and knows the all. It neither fears nor falters, but answers the divine call to be as one beyond the bounds of time and space, to overcome the bondage of the human race and leap and trust, undaunted, free into the depths of the infinite sea, whose waters calm are ready to receive those who, in simple faith, believe. Yeah. So take this joy with you. Take this moment with you and live out loud with it this week. Thank you for being here today. Thank you.